got a glass of wine to help me film this video because I've tried to film it 3 times now, but every time I do, my neighbours decide to open their window just that little bit wider, and the reflection of the sun just burns my corneas. So if I look more pale than usual, it's because I'm being sun-bleached by their window. Right, so it's been a while since some of us have been in school, mostly because, you know, our pal Rona shut them all down. Shut every single one of them. No more education for you. But in my case, it's because I'm 21 years old, and it might be a bit weird if I was just, you know, lurking around schools. Now, because I haven't been to school for many years, and I just spend my days day drinking, it's been a while since I've had any pen to paper action, otherwise known as writing. The only writing that I do these days are SJW rants over on twitter.com. If you want to see those bad boys, there it is. Just don't hate me after you see them, alright? I'm very passionate about a lot of subjects. Most recently, are chiropractors a scam? I have no answer on that. I don't know. I just said I wanted a chiropractor to snap me like a glow stick. Anyway, completely sidetracked. On with the point of the video. Writing. In school, my handwriting was, how do I put this? Illegible. You know how people say that smart people have bad handwriting? That's bullshit. I have nothing going on up here, and my handwriting was atrocious. That's just something people with bad handwriting say to make themselves feel better. But I also have the sneaky suspicion that anyone whose handwriting is neat is a narcissist. And the reason for this is because how long do you have to practice handwriting for your handwriting to look like this? That looks like type font. And although all that is a joke, it did actually get me thinking. Can you tell a lot about a person from their handwriting? And it turns out, you can. This is where I discovered something called graphology. Now, to read the definition on our good old friend Wikipedia, graphology is the analysis of the physical characteristics and patterns of handwriting, claiming to be able to identify the writer, indicating the psychological state at the time of writing, or evaluating personality characteristics. Before I say anything else, I do just want to preface this by saying graphology is considered a pseudoscience. Now, if you haven't seen this video here, you may not know what a pseudoscience is. Pseudoscience is essentially a fake science. It's something that consists of statements, practices, or beliefs that claim to be factual and scientific, but don't comply with scientific method. They rely on confirmation bias rather than rigorous attempts at refutation. If that sounds a bit confusing, just consider pseudoscience as the off-brand version of science. It kind of looks the same, but inside, it's not the real deal. But despite its label as a pseudoscience, handwriting analysis is really popular. There are people whose whole livelihoods are based on graphology. And you know, me being me, woman of science that I am, thought I'd give it a go. So I decided that I would pay 2 people to analyze the same piece of handwriting. One would be an expert graphologer whose whole livelihood is based on graphology, and charges a shit ton of money for it. And the other would be an expert on none other than Fiverr.com. Now, the aim of this little experiment was to see not only if they could correctly identify any aspects of my personality, but to see if there was a difference between playing for a high-calibered graphologer or just some random dude on Fiverr. Is this something that you have to study and train for and get qualifications in? Or is this something that anyone with access to the internet can very quickly learn in their break at lunch? Now, the graphologer that I chose to do my handwriting analysis is actually part of the British Institute of Graphologists. It was established in 1983, and it's pretty much the most respected body of graphologists in the country. These people have qualifications in it, they've dedicated their life to the study of graphology. It doesn't get much more, you know, specialist than this. The person that I chose charges £150 for one handwriting analysis. Now, I assumed that I would just send a photo of my handwriting across and they would just, you know, do their thing. But I actually had to write out a whole paragraph on unlined paper and send it to them, like in the post. They needed to see in person the handwriting sample in order to be able to do an in-depth analysis of it. And I won't lie, that kind of added a whole element of, you know, like, oh shit, this is the real deal. Once they got the sample, they had a turnaround of about 3 days, and they said they would write, on average, around 3 sheets of A4 paper analysis. Very in-depth, very exciting. And that was quite the change from my dude over on Fiverr. He charges £10 and had a 1-day turnaround. All he needed was a picture of my handwriting and he was good to go. Now, both parties have a little bit of a difference in terms of testimonials. My British graphologist has testimonials from MBEs, whilst my dude over on Fiverr had this. Wow! 10 out of 10. So once I'd written my paragraph for the professional graphologist, I took a photo of it and sent that to my dude on Fiverr. Both people are analysing the same text. Now, I've not actually read either of the analyses yet. I've just had a look and they've both come in, so we're gonna have a look at them at the same time. The first one I'm gonna look at is from my official graphologist. I'm very excited about this, I'm not gonna lie. When you write, there is a complex interaction going on between the eye, the brain, hence the central nervous system, and the hand. The pen you hold is merely the conduit. Giving a direct line to what's going on inside your head. In other words, handwriting reflects brain activity. So, what the writer is unconsciously doing is expressing their whole unique psychological profile in symbols on paper. It is important to remember that an analysis is a snapshot of the moment, reflecting core character and fluid behaviours at the time of writing. So that's just the introduction, and what I think this is doing is trying to lower our expectations. Because what she's effectively saying here is that the handwriting can only give her an insight to the moment of writing. It can't tell me anything definitive about my personality in general. She's just trying to get us to lower our expectations a bit, which is reassuring in the first paragraph of a £100 graphology report that I paid for. Right, so now we're getting into the meat of it. We're getting into the bit that tells us about ourselves. I'm not gonna lie, I've definitely drunk way too much wine. My judgment is severely impaired. Looking at your sample, it's as if you started off feeling isolated and a bit down, lacking in enthusiasm and finding it hard to see the bright side of life. 1 minute, you seem to want company, to get involved with everything that's going on, and the next, you'd rather have some personal space and be alone with your thoughts. This is ambivalence, which is a fine theme running through your psyche. This tells us something about your home life. You may have had a disciplinarian father. My military father is shaking. Then abruptly, you seem to rally. It's as if you suddenly pressed the reset button and remembered who you really are. And then, well, this is you. It feels like either the beginning or the end of a Netflix coming-of-age film, but the level of drama, I love it. I love it. Snapshot. You're a cool, dignified, forthright, and vital or meaningful woman with oodles of common sense and class. If she could only see me now. You have congenital optimism. What the hell does congenital mean? Please tell me that has no relation to my genitals. You embrace familiarity, a comfortable lifestyle, material possessions, security, and perhaps not surprisingly, plenty of money in the bank. Sis has got me down to a T. You're a bit of a loner. Did I just pay this woman £100 to bully me? So for you, it's all about doing your own thing and being self-reliant and independent. You're not looking for an easy ride or a meal ticket, but you do want to stand apart from the crowd. You won't be pushed into doing anything you don't want to do or saying anything you don't want to say. You have autonomy, self-esteem, and principles to consider. You are tentatively booked into life for the full experience. Make no mistake, you want to do things your way and on your terms. You can be fabulously irreverent and don't mind staking your personal opinions in the ground. I mean, that's pretty dead on, to be honest. Like I said earlier, SJW for life. There's a complexity about you that's interesting. You're perfectly capable of controlling your mood swings and your self-esteem is firm. And yet, there is a shyness about you that's quite endearing. In other words, you talk big and you tell it like it is. So your interpersonal skills show more confidence than you feel inside. You maintain an emotional distance. Notoriety is the oxygen you breathe, but it's a public rather than personal sociability. Okay, now I'm getting a little bit scared. There's a part of you that wants to be recognized, to make a lasting impact on the world, and also to make sure that people appreciate you're absolutely genuine and transparent. You're keen to project to others that you do what it says on your tin. You also don't mince your words. You can be quite frank and blunt, and there will be odd times when you simply blurt things out. Has she been reading my Twitter? Perchance. And yet there's a demureness and a reserve lurking, which means you can be quite wary of people and like to keep something back for yourself. You can be trusted to keep confidences and stay shtum, because in your book, you feel that discretion should be assured. You're not a gossip. You'd far rather talk about matters of consequence. I will take that. I think I always try to be one of those people that says it like it is, and it gets me in trouble a lot. There are definitely times where I shouldn't say it like it is, and yet I seem to be incapable of helping myself from doing so. I try not to gossip, but sometimes I enjoy it. I don't ever gossip in a mean way. I wouldn't really bitch about people. If I had a problem with someone, I'd like to think I'd say it directly to their face. Of course, there are times where that doesn't happen. In the words of Hannah Montana, nobody's perfect. Although you have a perfectionist mentality, you are able to leave the details and delegate to someone else, which leaves you free to construct the bigger picture. In other words, you're potentially management material. Ah, yes! I am the person that Karens wish to speak to. You think hard about things and you want to act responsibly, so you don't like being rushed. You work hard and play hard. You question everything. At the moment, you've got 1,000,001 thoughts and ideas rattling around your head. There's a danger that thinking will replace doing, so you need clear guidelines, expectations, and deadlines. Some physical exercise would help to clear your head and empower you to make the best decisions. Which brings us to the elephant in the room. The current issue you're experiencing is restlessness, and I mean physically more so than mentally. Did this woman just call me out for the fact that I haven't exercised since lockdown started? How did she know? Physical insecurity needs to headline your world. This is your biggest area of motivation, and this is where you have a problem. You're feeling incredibly restless and stir crazy, but, the big but. You need to get out and get moving, exercising, exploring, doing something so you can broaden your horizons. This will give you the breathing space to help you think clearly about what to do next. You do have some doubts and concern about what lies ahead in the future. It's as if you're braced for fear. Whatever you do, you need to look after yourself properly and try not to worry. You have an old head on young shoulders. You already know that life isn't just black and white. So for now, keep looking for those shades of grey, and remember that you will always need to be your own woman. Right, I'm gonna say this and no one judge me. If this comes across ridiculous, I'm gonna blame it fully on the fact that I'm a bit drunk. I think this is very introspective. I don't think I've ever been read quite so well by anyone other than my own mother. And she had 21 years to get to know me. This person, they literally had 7 lines of handwriting. This person has said a lot that I would not expect them to have got from the nuances of my handwriting. I really feel like they understood the good and the bad in my personality and the issues that have been bothering me for a while. The fact that they managed to work out that I haven't been exercising. The fact that I recently have had a lot of uncertainty about the things that I'm doing in my life right now, and it's getting in my own way. The fact that I've been feeling really stuck. I'm desperate to move. I can't wait. I've started packing up stuff and we've got a month until we move. The fact that they got that is insane to me. Obviously, we have to factor in how much of this could have been pure guesses. How much of this could have been from chance. And some of that, obviously, like the being stuck inside thing, the restlessness, might be a stab in the dark. But I really think that there are some very niche things in here that I'm not sure they could have guessed. Overall, summary of this analysis. Incredible, to be honest. And the way I stumbled over the word incredible would probably signify how alcohol is affecting my brain right now. Right! Now, obviously this report was pretty amazing, but it is expensive. So I want to see if I can get the same bang for my buck over on Fiverr. Tell you what, I need to film all my videos drunk because I am feeling fantastic right now.
No, I will not be filming every video drunk because this has been the worst editing experience of my entire life. It's painful. All I know is pain.
Moving on to Fiverr. Okay, here we go. Edward Norton, main man. Ooh, that rhymed. Genius. Your handwriting is very effortless as you write however you feel to write. This signifies the moral of your nature. You are a person who does everything with heart and only when you really want to do. If the desire is not genuine, you don't do it. Low-key, that's very similar to what our good pal, professional graphologist said. Your handwriting definitely doesn't come in the category of being great. Ouch. But you have a very appropriate consistency in every letter you write. This signifies your emotional quotient. You are very strong with your relations, which means that if you consider someone your friend, you go to the extent of friendship. Okay, so this is actually quite similar. The fact that this person has talked about my emotional quotient, which is kind of like your emotional intelligence. It's like an IQ, but EQ. It tells you how smart you are in terms of your ability to understand people and emotions. Now, people who are empaths, like myself, have a very high emotional quotient. As my doctor described it, it's the world's worst superpower. You just soak up all the emotions of everyone around you, and you can't tell which emotions are yours and which emotions are other people. So it just all goes into one big bucket until it overflows and you have a breakdown. I love being an empath. You're an honest person and a little short-tempered. Originality, sincerity, and authenticity are the most attractive things you consider in people. I'm quite impressed that this person has got that I'm short-tempered, considering the professional graphologists kind of missed that. They thought that I was very in control of my emotions, and I'm very hot-headed. I'm an argumentative little shit. You are to the point and prefer to come straight to the point. You don't spend too much on yourself, but you do on people you love. Okay, that's weirdly true. I literally don't remember the last time I bought a present for myself, but I try to do whatever I can to spoil people I love and care about. That's a very specific thing that I don't think could have just been a shot in the dark. People misunderstand you very much, and later when they realize that they've misunderstood you, they regret it. Well, I hope they regret it. That one goes out to everyone who bullied me in high school. You are a very emotional person, but you do your best not to show it to anyone. You have a very strict professionalism. You like to deal with things in an extremely professional way. Yeah, day drinking for a video seems highly professional. You always listen to your heart, you believe in karma, and you never think evil of anyone, though at times you have a tendency of judging people, which you yourself understand is not right. Okay, low-key, I want to know what witchcraft this is. Because, like, the fact that I believe in karma is not exactly a 50-50 chance of being right.
Do you believe in karma? Yes or no? 50-50 chance of getting that right. Just so we all can acknowledge that that is basic maths. I've been editing this for about 18 hours now, and the stupidity, it just keeps going right until the very end. If you've made it this far, honestly, I don't know how. Well done.
And the fact that I try not to judge people, but do, and then scorn myself for judging people, is a very terrible cycle that I've been working very hard to break out of recently. You are nature-wise romantic, but you find it hard to express yourself, and you also find it difficult to understand your partner's mood. At times, your facial expressions and voice tonality are judged wrongly. Okay, so this is kind of like the first major trip up. I'm actually very good at understanding Jean's mood. Understanding other people isn't something that I find particularly difficult, given the whole empath thing, so that's kind of not as accurate as it could be, but my facial expressions and my voice are 100% interpreted wrongly a lot of the time. I have quite an aggressive voice. I don't mean to be mean, but sometimes when I say something, it can come across very harshly, and also I have a resting bitch face, which doesn't really help. Do what you were convinced of. Also, you don't believe in doing too many things at once. You like to achieve things one by one in a proper way in your career aspect. Generally, you spend very logically, and you love to try new things. You are not afraid of taking risks, and whatever you have done in your life, you have done that by yourself. People who meet you once get an impression by your transparency. Your friends feel good about the fact that you are their friend. Shall I text some people and ask them if that's true? This is a common theme again between this one and the last one, the fact that I'm quite transparent. I would say that that's true. I don't think I've ever really hidden my intentions or my emotions from anyone. Now the next part is about the slant of my handwriting and what that supposedly says about me. My handwriting apparently has a very small slant to the left, and there are a few words and writing patterns that have no slants. People with left slanted handwriting tend to hold back their emotions, bottle up their feelings, and react too little or too late unless provoked or pushed into the corner. If your handwriting is straight up and down, then your thinking may be the same. Also, wide spacing between letters. If the spacing between your letters is wide, it may mean that you're someone who feels lonely and isolated. Now, being lonely and isolated is something that they've now said in both, which is shockingly true. Very sad. But the fact that they've both got that kind of seems like more than coincidence, I'm not gonna lie. You are a very positive person. I understand that due to circumstances, you get influenced and things go out of your control. But trust me, you have a very decent mind and heart. Regards, Ed. Ed's given me the confidence boost I needed this year. Okay, now just from the two that I've read, there are a lot of commonalities that to me seem too specific to be shots in the dark. I'm gonna put a little screen up now of all of the things that were common for both answers. This is quite a lot if you ask me. There's a lot of things that are similarities between the two. Okay, some of them are quite generic and could probably be applied to a lot of people, but there are also more nuanced things that I think it's bizarre that both of them got. I'm also gonna put up a screen now of the things that I think each of them got wrong. obviously I know that this isn't going to be perfect. They were given 7 lines of handwriting to judge my entire personality off. The fact that they got anywhere near close would have been a miracle. The fact that they got incredibly specifically close, to me, it seems like more than coincidence. I do think the professional graphologist got it more spot on. She also gave a lot more detail, things that I think were very specific, that weren't as vague as perhaps some of the stuff that Ed had said. But even then, the analysis from the Fiverr guy, it still had a very similar general tone to the professional graphologist. In conclusion, I was fully prepared to kind of write this off as a pseudoscience. And I know my opinion on this doesn't change the fact that it is a pseudoscience. They were both pretty accurate in terms of how I view my personality. I also think that there were enough similarities between the two for me to think there is some genuine method behind the madness of graphology. The thing that I liked about this was the fact that neither of them were just giving an analysis of my handwriting. Both of them included solutions to problems they thought I was having. For example, in the professional graphologist analysis, they said that I was feeling restless and I wasn't exercising enough and I was overcrowding my brain with thoughts, and so nothing was actually happening. Only by them saying it did it make me really internally evaluate the fact that, yeah, that is something I need to work on. But they also gave me a solution, which was, I need to exercise more. I need to give myself an opportunity to clear my mind so I can actually get things done. And I know that seems like a really obvious solution to a pretty generic problem, but I've been feeling restless for about a month and a half now, and I haven't really taken the time to recognize that I was feeling restless, if that makes sense. And having someone else say it has caused me to internally reflect, and I'm actually gonna exercise now. Well, maybe not right now, considering I've drank half a bottle of wine. Overall, I'd really urge you to give this a go. I know the more expensive graphologists are expensive. If you are curious about this and you're on a slightly tighter budget, I will leave the link to this dude's Fiverr down below. His wasn't as in-depth as the professional graphologist, obviously, because it's just some bloke on Fiverr, but give it a go and let me know down below, you know, was it accurate for you? I will also link the British Institute of Graphologists, so if you're looking for a professional and that's in your price range, I'm always open to hearing your opinions. If you think it's a bunch of codswallop, let me know. Again, if you don't think this was an accurate representation of me, let me know. But if you made it to the end, thank you very much for watching this video. I am incredibly drunk and it probably got a lot more confusing as it went on, but you know, it's 2020. Does anything really make sense anymore? If you like the video, give it a cheeky little thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. It's a free world, you do you boo, and I will see you next week with another video. In a bit. I am such a lightweight. I guess it's time for a drunk Twitch stream. See you there.
I can't feel my face, no, faking on a Sunday. I can't feel my face, no, faking on a Sunday. I can't feel my face, no, faking on a Sunday.